The effects of this winter storm have really touched all parts of our community, from the roads to city infrastructure, the economy, but most importantly, of course, the people. At this point, we know that 4 people are dead because of the storm. 2 were caused by falling trees. The other 2 were likely due to hypothermia, which means basically they froze to death. We all know about these. All that we do know about the 2 cases is that one man was found dead in inner southeast Portland on Friday. The other man was found dead in North Portland on Saturday. Both tragedies bring up a topic that we often cover on the story. That's the response to homelessness between the city of Portland and Multnomah County. It often seems to us as if the 2 are kind of in a tug of war with each other. For example, on Friday morning, Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson declared a countywide state of emergency ahead of the storm. And in that press release, the county showed off all the supplies that the Joint Office of Homeless Services and nonprofits had been giving out. Things like hoodies, sweatpants, warm hats, gloves, socks, and also over 1,500 tarps, nearly 400 tents, and nearly 400 sleeping bags, along with 1,500 wool blankets. All of those numbers are far higher today, by the way, but let's just work with those numbers for a moment. At the very same time that the county was handing out all those supplies, the city was coming and sweeping the homeless camps, the city of Portland, and they kept it up until noon on Friday. That means it's quite possible that at least some of those supplies that the county handed out days or even hours prior were then being picked up by the city and subsequently thrown out. Tax dollars in, tax dollars, well, trashed. City sweeps are paused for the time being, by the way, because of the weather. Today, we got a rare opportunity to take our questions about this issue right to the top of the agency in charge of handing out those supplies in the first place, the director of the Joint Office of Homeless Services. We wanted to know why hand them out in the first place if they're just going to be picked up by the city soon after. Can't there be some better coordination?
What we're picking up after a camp sweep, nothing is taken from anybody. The first part of a sweep is connecting people to services. We work very hard days ahead to connect people to services. We make multiple outreach attempts. Once they've been connected to services and they are moved from the site, we do pick up any trash that's left behind, but we're not taking supplies from people.
You're not picking up the tents?
We're picking up trash that's left behind after people have been moved off of a site.
All right, but if we have video that shows tents being picked up and...
I have no doubt that tents are part of the trash that's left behind when people move into services or move to a different site.
Okay, so does it make when taxpayers see all this, when one agency is handing out supplies and the other agency is taking the supplies back?
It's a good question. That tent may have kept somebody alive for a night, a couple nights, a week. And when they're ready to move into services or move to a different site and they no longer need that tent may become trash. But if it's kept somebody alive for a single night, I'd say the cost of the tent is worth it.
That was our photographer, Mike Gallimanis, asking those questions, by the way, not answering them. Now, before we move on, many of you know that our reporter Blair Best does an outstanding job covering the homeless crisis in our community, getting the stories straight from the homeless folks themselves. And when we told her about Dan Field saying that they do not take anything from people during those sweeps, she told us that's not what she hears from the people on the streets. A camp is posted for removal at least 3 days ahead of time, and that's when folks are supposed to start gathering their stuff. But Blair tells us that rarely happens. So when crews do arrive 3 days later to remove the camp, it's often a last-minute scramble for folks to grab anything they can before crews pick up the rest, including tents, and either put it in storage for 30 days or sometimes just throw it out if they think it's trash. Today, when we asked Mr. Field what he would say to folks who do not think that giving out those supplies is the best use of tax dollars, well, here's how he responded.
The supplies that the Joint Office and Multnomah County and City of Portland and nonprofits hand out are designed to keep people safe and healthy and alive. And we will never regret that, and we will never back down from that decision to hand out life-saving supplies, particularly during weather events like this.
So there you have it. Another data point mentioned today in regards to shelter is that last night the county sheltered the most people it ever has in a single night, over 1,100 people, which is great. I'm glad they got inside. But that did get our team thinking. And of course, we're no experts, but there's been a push lately to centralize the database with specific details on homeless folks in our community. It would include things like name, what their needs are, what can be done to help get them off the street. So what better time to gather some of that information than during an event like this? When you are over 1,000 people strong, those people all coming to you for shelter. Seems logical, right? Well, apparently far easier said than done because it's not really happening.
Is the county using this opportunity to connect people with services that they might not otherwise be connected with?
Wherever possible, but I also want to caution that, especially given that we've got so many volunteers and so many folks here whose day job is not involved in that. Our goals with these particular shelters is not to do case management at this moment. That's really kind of beyond our abilities in this environment, which is really just about getting one life-saving resource out. Anything we can do in those moments, it does happen for sure, but that's not our goal at this moment. These goals are really just, life-saving intervention in this moment so that we can get folks, to tomorrow when we're gonna pick that up.
Okay, so those are the facts. Now, here's my opinion on this. Obviously, the number one goal should be to get people inside so they can survive. This really is life-threatening weather out there and nothing to play around with. But this also feels like an incredible opportunity to help connect all kinds of people with services, to help get them off the street. Instead of having to go corner to corner looking for camps, the people are literally coming to you. For agencies set up to help homeless folks, this should be your biggest moment of the year. It should be all hands on deck. Think about it. These frigid nights provide the perfect setting at all the open shelters to get detailed information from hundreds of people streaming in now off the streets. It could even be as simple as having a single volunteer sign people into the shelter, take down their name, an area where they usually camp, and the things that each individual thinks they might need to get off the street once and for all. And after the storms have passed, then you can follow up. You have this great database with potentially hundreds of names, individual situations, even locations where you can go find those people again to get them the help that they need. Yes, we need to give people a warm and safe place tonight and tomorrow night and beyond that if it's needed. But if that's all that we're doing during events like this, in my opinion, it's a missed opportunity. And some of you will say, well, the weather makes it unsafe for workers to get to these shelters to make all that work happen. I agree, the roads are dicey out there, but I don't believe it's impossible to get workers there. Surely someone has a four-wheel drive that could offer help. If we really want to make progress in this homeless situation, we really need to take advantage of opportunities like this one. And asking the information I've suggested when people check into your warming shelter seems like an obvious first step. That's my opinion anyway. What do you think? You don't have to agree with me. That's fine, but you should communicate. Email your thoughts our way, will ya? Let's keep the dialogue going. Send it to thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail. The phone number is 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you.